An analysis by North Dakota legislative lawyers says Governor Doug Burgum may have overstepped his authority by imposing regulatory restrictions on businesses allowed to reopen amid the coronavirus outbreak. A memo released yesterday by the nonpartisan Legislative Council raises the question of whether health officials and occupational licensing boards should have placed those restrictions and not the governor. The governor says in a statement that every action taken by our administration has been squarely focused on saving the lives and livelihoods of North Dakota citizens. Meanwhile, North Dakota has 41 new cases of the coronavirus. Cass County has the highest total now with 643. Grand Forks County is coming in at number 2 with 270. More than 36,000 people have been tested in North Dakota. There are 1,266 positive COVID-19 cases. 559 people have recovered. 31 people are in the hospital. North Dakota health officials are also changing the way they report COVID-19 deaths after questions from our news team. The state now breaks down the death total into people who died from the coronavirus and those who died with it. The health department says of the 25 coronavirus deaths, 17 were due to the virus, 2 were caused by something other than COVID-19, and the other 6 death records are still pending for an official cause. Minnesota has not broken down its numbers like that. And the COVID-19 pandemic is expected to swallow up Minnesota's billion-dollar surplus that was projected a couple of months ago. State budget officials think the crisis will cost nearly $4 billion and put Minnesota back into the red ink. Governor Tim Walz says he is not ready to rule anything out, including layoffs and furloughs of state employees. Minnesota's health department says they have 623 new coronavirus cases, bringing their total to 7,857. 27 more people have died for a total death toll of 455. 368 of those deaths were people living in a nursing home or a long-term care facility. 4,614 people are listed as recovered. Frontline workers in the fight against the coronavirus are getting a special salute today, and they'll need to look up to see it. The Minnesota National Guard is honoring workers with statewide flyovers later this morning. It's part of a nationwide effort to recognize healthcare workers, emergency responders, food industry, and other essential workers. Guard pilots will buzz medical facilities in more than 24 cities, including Brainerd at 10:55 and Little Falls at 11 o'clock this morning. It's now 3 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's get a check of that First Alert Storm Team forecast with Lisa Green.
Good morning. Today, starting off with conditions that are looking a little bit cool for some of us. We're nearing the freezing mark in some spots, including in Langdon and Fosston and Bemidji, where we're only at 34 degrees right now. It's 35 in the Grand Forks area. And even though the numbers are above freezing, there are still some areas where we may be seeing some frost out there to start off your morning. Southern Valley, not nearly as cool because we've had the cloud cover last longer, and that's kept our temperatures up a little bit more overnight. We're into the low 40s in Lakes Country. Fergus Falls 43, Wadena 43, and in Detroit Lakes 41. Fargo's at 37 at the moment. And checking out your wind, not too much of it. We're seeing wind speeds up to 13 miles per hour overall out of the northwest or west for most areas here to start off this morning. And your radar and satellite map looking pretty quiet. We do have some radar returns north of the border that are trying to creep southward with some cloud cover there. We're going to keep an eye on that. But overall, it's looking like a more sunny day on the way for today and conditions that are looking pretty nice. Speaking of a nearly full moon as we're looking off to the west, and you know what that means? That means that the sky is clear in that direction in Fargo-Moorhead as we're looking out on our First Alert Skycam network. So nice to see that. We'll see that sunrise closer to the 6 o'clock hour. And a look at your hourly planner today. Again, expect more sunshine, temperatures that do respond, but it's not like it's going to be a big heat wave today. We'll see temperatures around 60 for Fargo. And again, sunshine returning. And I think a lot of people are going to be happy about that. We'll let you know how long this will last coming up in your extended planner.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Lisa. Work starts this morning on the 12th Avenue North and I-29 bridge deck overlay in Fargo. The first phase will close the inside lanes from Aggregate Industries Drive on the west side of I-29 to Daisy Lane on the east side. It's going to start around 6. Traffic speeds through the work zone will now be down to 25 miles an hour for about the next week. The entire bridge rehabilitation work is expected to be completed by October. Attorneys general in 11 Midwestern states, including North Dakota and Minnesota, are urging the Justice Department to investigate potential price fixing by meat packers in the cattle industry during the coronavirus pandemic. The attorneys general wrote in a letter dated yesterday to U.S. Attorney General William Barr that the concentrated market structure of the beef industry makes it susceptible to market manipulation, particularly during times of food insecurity. The four largest meat packing companies control more than 80% of the beef processing in the U.S. The attorneys general say beef prices are exceptionally high as people stockpile the meat during this crisis, but cattle prices are low. And many grocery stores and restaurants are seeing their supply lines shrink after meat processing plants across the U.S. started shutting down or slowing their production amid this pandemic. Costco is one of the stores that's limiting the amount of ground beef that you can buy. And restaurants like Wendy's say some of their menu items will be in short supply. Workers at the Fargo location confirmed they're being impacted, and even locally owned businesses are having to adjust. A Grand Forks fire station is shut down for major cleaning after one of its firefighters tested positive for COVID-19. The firefighter last worked at the station, at Station 5 last Thursday, April 30th. Two co-workers on that shift are on self-quarantine for 14 days. Health officials are continuing to study COVID-19 as antibody tests are now helping them collect data about the virus. But what is that test and how does it really work? The Valley Today's Abby Furchner is live this morning to explain. Good morning, Abby.
Good morning, Jordan. Antibody testing was approved by the FDA back on March 16th. This test could help determine if someone who wasn't able to get the COVID-19 test in fact had the virus. When given the test, health officials are looking at your immune system to see if your body has responded to the infection. The antibody test is done with a simple blood draw, and results come back within 1 to 2 days. But when I spoke with Sanford Dr. Avish Nagpal, he stressed that this was not a test to see if you currently have COVID-19. The antibody test is only used on those who think they may have had the virus.
Typically, we ask people to wait for at least 10 days before they order this test. And I mean 10 days from symptom onset, because you cannot use this test immediately because it takes body a few days to make the antibody.
Dr. Nagpal says that right now Sanford is able to do the test, but that they are sending those samples to Mayo. But by later this week or early next week, Sanford is hoping to have all capabilities in-house. But another big question that has been asked about the coronavirus is, once you get it, are you immune to it? So we'll be talking about that here in just a few minutes.
Some very important topics, and yes, a lot of questions people are asking. Abby Furchner, thank you. Two people accused in connection with a murder in northern Minnesota are now sitting behind bars in Minot, North Dakota. Those details are ahead right here on the Valley Today. But next, Lisa Green is in with what we need to know as we wake up and it's finally a little bit drier out there.